I think I did it. I think I figured out how to make this happen. How's everyone doing? Welcome to it. I hope you can hear me. I'm sure I will see you in chat any moment now if you cannot hear me. Super excited to be joining in. I just had a really funny moment where I couldn't figure out how to go live. So high five for figuring that out. Thank you, team. I see Corinne and Mary are both in here. They both just did a little saving of me. I'm here live today to talk about the Boss-Owned Business group coaching. Here to answer any questions that you may have. So feel free to get into the chat. Perfect. Hi, Kate and Britta. Good to see you guys. Excited to talk about the group coaching. So this is a Q&A where I want to answer your questions, but I also recognize that you may not know what questions to ask. So I'm going to start off just sharing more information about the coaching, and then I'm going to keep an eye on the chat for any questions that may come through. So you are more than welcome to ask questions. I will stop my chittering and answer your questions if and when I see them pop in. But just to get started, I want to share with you more about the group coaching, and then feel free to interrupt me with your questions at any point. Okay, actually, I see one coming in. Sean is asking, curious if this coaching is only for online businesses? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And hi, Jay. Good to see you. Everything has been well. Thank you. Yes, so it is not just for online businesses at all. There is nothing in this program that is tailored to specific kinds of businesses. This is for creative business owners. So it is applicable no matter if you have, like, you're just starting your business, you've been in it for 10 years, your online business or physical business. Corinne is right there. We had both online business owners and physical business owners in our beta group. We already have product-based businesses and service-based businesses signed up for this time. So yeah, it totally is for any kind of business, regardless of whether you are online or offline. This is really diving into your role as a business owner. What you do as a business owner isn't necessarily part of this program. So, absolutely no, it is not only for online business owners, it's for all kinds. All kinds. Great question. Feel free to ask any further. Kate is asking, how often will this be offered? Once a year or twice a year? I don't know. This might actually be the only time I offer it live. We did a beta test to make sure it was all good. We're doing a live this time. It may end up becoming an evergreen sort of course, or actually maybe even an add-on to the Clubhouse in the future as just like a course situation, maybe. But I don't know. I don't really have any plans for it. We knew we were doing it this fall. I might do it this spring. I might not, especially with Almanac doing what it's doing these days. I never know what I'm doing next. So if this is something you're interested in and you want to do it with me live, this is the only time I can tell you that I'm doing it, at least definitively. Beyond that, not super sure. Not super sure. Perfect, Jay. I will get to that question actually just really quickly. I think either one's fine. Totally fine. I don't think you need to be with a person. So, talking a little bit more about the group coaching, I am still here watching for any questions that you may have. Super happy to help. I am going to be on right until the end of this hour, so I will not be taking much of your time, but I do want to share with you a bit more about this, and maybe some more questions will come up for you as we go along. This is a 6-week group coaching. It includes 6 calls, is it hour calls? 75-minute calls? I actually can't remember now that I'm being 90-minute calls. It's 6 90-minute calls. That's what it is. I have so many ongoing calls, y'all. I never know how many they are or how many minutes. 90 minutes. Thank you, Mary. 6 90-minute calls where I will be showing up with you live to coach you through each individual section. There are 6 sections of this, one for each of the calls. We're going to go through mindset, boundaries, habits and routine, community, work, and life. All of these together, and all of these in a way that we haven't really covered before. If you are like deep in being boss, you know these as like our 6 pillars of being boss. We've talked about them many times. The thing that I most love about this coaching is that I get to dive in on these in a really applicable way, in a way that you haven't really heard me talk about, or like wasn't even in the Being Boss book. For each section, there's a couple of pieces of the puzzle. First, I don't have my physical copy with me because I thought I was going to be doing this for my office today, so I have my iPad version. First and foremost, you will get a physical workbook. So we're sending these out in the mail. It looks like this. This is the cover page. We have physical workbooks that will take you through homework, so pre-work actually for each individual section. So there's the mindset section, there's a little bit of info, and I'm taking you through a couple of really important exercises. There's plenty of space here for you to take your notes, for you to really work through some of these things, and really prompting you to dive deep into one, some topics that we talked about before, like fraudy feelings, and two, diving into things that we haven't really covered. There's a new way to look, or different ways to look at your money mindset, and then also a space for each of these sections to take notes during our 90-minute call, so you can have everything in this physical workbook. At the end of each call, you will be prompted to go through your homework for each section. And the homework is extra special because it is content, or it is information that you are collecting, that you are refining for yourself, that go into, I guess, sort of the third piece of this coaching. So if the calls are piece number 1, this workbook is piece number 2. Piece number 3 is something that we are calling your guidebook. And your guidebook is really the sort of end result of this coaching together, where you are creating what is kind of your employee handbook for yourself, where you are going to be defining several very important things for yourself and your business. And your key here is your relationship with your business, so that you are navigating the balance of work and life and your role as a business owner with intention, so that you can show up within the context of your business in a way that feels good for you, that feels right and tailored just to you. So in the mindset section, you will be defining a couple of really important things, one of which is your inner mission, diving into why it is that you started this business in the first place, what being boss really means to you in the context of being a business owner, and several other really important pieces that will go into this guidebook, so that when you're having a hard time, when you are navigating a pivot, when you are reassessing your role, you can easily go back to this and remember what your inner mission is, so you can make your decisions from that centered place. That is one just sort of very soft skill side of how these pieces work together, where you do your homework or your pre-work in your workbook, you show up for the 90-minute call together, you do your homework after the call, and take the information that you've sort of dug in with the workbook, that we have worked through together in the call, and putting it together into content that becomes your guidebook. So I just gave you an example from the mindset section. We'll also be digging into some boundaries, where you're going to be focusing on where it is that you work best in your business, going through the habits and routines, where we're going to be diving into some really important parts of your business that are really often overlooked. We're going to be going into all those nitty gritty little things that have to be done in your business on an ongoing basis for your business to run, but don't usually have anything to do with delivering the product or service that you deliver. So they're often overlooked, but incredibly imperative to the functioning of your business. And we're going to very practically figure out what all of those things are, and give you a frequency with which you need to show up and do those things. And we'll go through a similar layout for each of the 6 sections together. And then at the end of this coaching, the thing that you have is this guidebook. And so the workbook comes to you as a printed workbook that you can hold, you can write in, you can do whatever you want. You can burn it when you're done if you want to. But you're also going to be getting this guidebook in the form of an editable PDF. So as you are writing through your workbook and you're figuring all of these things out, you're figuring out your intermission, you are, naming your boundaries, you are figuring out all of those things in your business that you need to do, and beyond, you will take those things and you will put them into this editable PDF so that you can save it and keep it. And that way you can keep it as a living, breathing document on your computer, but you also have the ability to print this thing out and keep it with you, keep it on your desk, put it up on your board, whatever it may be. A lot of bosses have taken it, printed it off, and made it part of their like CEO day kit situation so they can consistently go back and look at it and remind yourself, these are the things that I've claimed that I will do in my business. These are the things I've claimed I will not do in my business. This is my intermission. These are the values that I'm here to uphold. We're creating what I think of as an employee handbook for you as the business owner of your business. I locked my child out of our house to go let her in. So that is what we are working towards together in this coaching. And that is the product of this coaching, is you will have, when you are done, this guidebook that is this living, breathing document that reminds you of your business, your place in your business, and helps you move forward with a good relationship with your business. So that is it. That is the group coaching. We did run this with a beta group of Clubhouse and community members back in June. I guess it was June. Back in June, to raving reviews. I was so pleased. I was so, what is even the word? I felt so gratified, basically, that we were able to take this content, package it up in a way and deliver it in a way that the bosses found it so impactful and so hopeful for helping them better navigate their relationship with their business. Really great feedback. There's a couple of things that we're implementing in this first real round. But for the most part, bosses just loved what we put together. And this is directly a product of bosses like you guys literally asking us to create some sort of coaching just like this. It's for literally helping you be a better boss of your business and for yourself, because that really is the piece that we have dove in here. It's a different kind of business coaching. This is not one where we're diving into, all of your processes and your business model and those sorts of things, because bosses really run the gamut of all kinds of business models and all kinds of industries. What we're focusing on is you as a business owner and helping you own that role for yourself and better define that role for yourself in a way that is really applicable no matter what kind of business you run. In our beta group as well, we had bosses who were just starting out and bosses that were 10 years into it. We had service-based businesses and product-based businesses, and every kind of boss in that group. And part of that was we literally, as part of our beta group test, is we required each and every member to give us feedback, and each and every member loved what we put together. It's the kind of feedback that someone only dreams of getting after putting together something like this. This is many years in the making, and we're excited to have it out. Have it out and available to you. Like Kate asked earlier, how often will this be offered? I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever do it again. I'm very busy. So if this is something anyone is interested in, I don't mean to create sort of a false sense of urgency or anything like that. That is not what I'm trying to do here, but I legitimately don't know if and when I'll ever do this live again. We created this thing. We've ran it once already. I want to run it with you all, or with another group of bosses. but I don't know if we'll do it again in the future. CEO Day Kit is the thing that we will continue doing and continue offering. I continue to do my C-suite mastermind group, and I love that a ton. But I had a bit of room in my calendar this year where I was me, and then the team also was like, "But it's time to do this, Emily." And I said, "Great, let's do it. Let's do it." So here we are. I am taking questions. I'll be here for about 10-ish, 10, 12 more minutes in case anyone has any additional questions about this coaching. I haven't done anything like this in a really long time. The last time I did a group coaching offering was the first iteration of the Clubhouse back in 2016, 2017. We ended that in 2018. So this is the first time we've done anything like this in a long time. And like I said, I don't know. I might do it again. I legitimately might run it 2 more times next year. But I also really might not. Britta says, thanks for the info. I just joined your community, so just checking out all the good things offered here. Wonderful. Welcome. Welcome, Britta. This community has been around for, in some iterations since 2015. So we are not some fresh new community platform. We have been around for an incredibly long time. And I always say very honestly that bosses are the coolest. So you are in really great company. For sure. Feel free to just like ask some questions, reply to some people's posts, and I think you'll find that you agree. Bosses are the best. The best. Perfect. Taking any more questions. Actually, Mary and Corinne, who are on the Being Boss team and who helped me put this program together and the workbook and all of these things. Oh, perfect, Britta. Mary and Corinne, if you two have any questions that I didn't cover or any things that I didn't cover, feel free to shoot me a prompt. I am happy to cover anything I did not cover for sure. We have not pinpointed, I don't think exactly what time calls will be, but currently we're looking, oh, good question, Britta. Currently we are looking at these calls being on Tuesday afternoonish, or noon to afternoonish, somewhere around in there. Great question. When does this start? Let's see. I'm looking at the page because I don't actually know. This is definitely Mary and Corinne's wheelhouse. They take care of all of these things for me. Okay, actually, we have nailed it down. So it is 6 weekly group coaching calls that are on Tuesdays from 12 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern. The first call is on September 6th, and the final call is on Tuesday, October 11th. Thank you, Mary. So those are the details for you for what that looks like. The cart closes for this on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So you have through the end of the week to join if you would like to. You have until that time. You can find it. Actually, maybe we should share a link. That feels like a great idea. Here is a link to the coaching page, beingboss.club/coaching. You can join in there. We do have 2 payment options. You can pay all at once. It is $800 for the entire program, or you can do a 2 payment option. That is, second payment is auto debited in a month. You can do that 2 payments of $400 if you so choose. So there are 2 options there for you to make that purchase. All of the calls will be recorded, though we obviously encourage you to show up live. You'll be able to easily access those recordings within minutes of those calls ending, so you can catch up with them. I will be spending the bulk of that time of those 90-minute calls, probably about an hour, 45 to 60 minutes of that time doing some of my coaching you through things, or I guess like guiding you through a couple of different ways of looking at some of the things that you will have done in your workbook. And then we're going to be using about 30 to 45 minutes as hot seat coaching. So we have some things within the private group of the community for this coaching, for prompting you through anyone who needs a hot seat session. During those live calls, I will bring you on screen. We'll work through things together. And then also, if you haven't ever been a member of an online Being Boss event, then maybe you have not experienced bosses in chat yet. Because it can get quite active and really, really helpful. Bosses tend to be the kind of crowd that are really workshopping things together. So there's usually like a whole sort of sidebar of coaching and asking questions and digging deeper and those sorts of things in the sidebar chat of these events as well. So it's really a dynamic experience, and one where you'll find that bosses are really amazing at helping each other through things. If anyone in here is newer to the community or hasn't quite sort of found your footing in here, know that like I totally get it. I feel like online communities can be really difficult, but at the core of the Being Boss community is a very amazing, tight knit group of bosses who know each other because we've been around for a while. But there's also some newbies in it. And you'll find that if you show up and you ask questions and you are engaged, they're incredibly welcoming. They're incredibly smart. They're incredibly giving of their experience, and their sort of advice and guidance and helping you dive deeper. And if you've been struggling with sort of finding your foothold or really getting in there and getting to know bosses, this would be a really great opportunity for you to find your crowd. There's already a couple of bosses in this group, in this group coaching session that are part of that, like, I don't want to call it like this inner circle because it's not, there just is this core group of bosses in this community who, like I said, know each other. We've been around for a really long time. We really know each other's businesses. And we know how the Being Boss version of community works. So if you've been looking for an opportunity to really dive in and experience that, and honestly, plug yourself into it, this group coaching would be a really great opportunity for you to do just that, because bosses are the best. Really, really are the best. And this is going to be a really great intensive situation that will allow you to plug yourself into what the Being Boss community really is all about, and sort of create within it its own little group of connected bosses. With it, there's about 5 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, I am more than happy to take them. Mary and Corinne, again, if there's anything that I missed, feel free to hit me up and let me know. If anyone who is interested in learning more about it wants to ask a question or whatever, oh, you're welcome, Britta. See you next time as well. But feel free to put it into the chat. I'm happy to help. There's a question over here. How long should you expect sort of the coaching to take out of your life, basically? I would say that apart from the 90-minute call, to expect another 1 to 2 hours a week where you're working on the pre-work and then the homework. I will say that I think the mindset section is probably the very first section. So your first week is the most intensive. It has the most sort of pre-work and homework, because it really is setting the stage, is sort of uncovering some things that we'll be working through the entire 6 weeks together. So it is a bit more intensive. It takes a bit more time, and then it does taper off a good bit after that. And those final sections become a lot easier because the work really builds on itself as you are going through. So you should allot another hour or two each week beyond the 90-minute calls to do the work around, like in the workbook and in the guidebook, and putting your information into the guidebook. Let's see what other questions I have here. There is a private Being Boss community group for this group coaching as well. Mary and Corinne over here have some really great content that will be going live in that group, both in support of some of the things that we'll be talking about within the context of these calls and the workbook. but also in just helping you get through it, making sure you know where the calls are, making sure you know how to submit your hot seat questions, those sorts of things. So there is a private group that you will be a part of as part of this, so that you can connect even further within the context of this coaching together. And then there's another question here I will speak on as well. Again, we have a couple minutes left. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will be wrapping this up in a minute or two. Around what is the difference between this and CEOJ Kit? Very good question. A lot. A lot. I think these two things go together. CEOJ Kit is its own standalone situation for sure. You can think of boss-owned business almost, it can be pre-work. So maybe you haven't gotten CEOJ Kit, you don't think you're, far enough along in your business, or whatever reason you're not. CEOJ Kit is for every boss, period. But I think Boss-Owned Business makes a really great sort of first step if you're trying to work your way to CEOJ Kit. We also, in our beta group, most of the bosses in there are deep into CEOJ Kit and now have this additional layer they can lay on top of CEOJ Kit. And think of it as like now, every time you do a CEO day, you also have the opportunity to revisit this guidebook. And check in on some important things that you have already predefined for yourself to see if you're still following what you hold as being important or priority for you and your role as a business owner. Or maybe you need to adjust some things along the way because your business has changed, or you have changed, or your life circumstances have changed in a way that you need to tweak your own role as a business owner to move forward. So they are incredibly different. I think the biggest piece of overlap is we do talk values again in Boss-Owned Business, because that is at the core of what we do. I cannot take you through literally anything unless you know what your values are. There is another layer of values in Boss-Owned Business that we go over that we do not go over in CEOJ Kit, and honestly isn't one that I have talked very much about in the past, even though we have done lots of content around your values. So there is a very new piece of this within Boss-Owned Business, but I think that might be really the only piece of overlap. If you've already done your values and your CEOJ Kit, then there is one section of the workbook that you will already have under wraps. Love that for you, but that doesn't come until the very last call, that overlap will be present. And you might find yourself revisiting your values through a new lens because of all of the work that you've done in Boss-Owned Business. So I'm not seeing any other questions come through. I do hope you'll join me to join us. Mary and Corinne in here in the chat have put in just as much work as me, if not more, maybe, to make this coaching happen. This has been a Being Boss brainchild for the entire team as we have gone through years of creating this content for you. We thought, what does it look like to put this together in a way that helps our bosses feel great in their businesses? And we've put this together in a way that makes us so happy. And as I've mentioned before, in our beta group, was extremely well received. Extremely well received. I'm not seeing any more questions come through, so I will officially wrap this up. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging with me and hearing more about this coaching. I do hope that you will join in to this coaching. As mentioned before, I don't know that I'll do this. I'm doing it this time. I know that I'm doing it this time. I would like to maybe do it again in the future, but also maybe not. Coaching like this is not what I'm here to do forever, but I'm totally here to do it right now. So I can't make any promises as to whether or not I'll do it again, but I am excited to do it this time with this group of bosses. So beingboss.club/coaching if you want to join in. Deadline to join is this coming Friday at 5 p.m. We start our calls together on Tuesday, September 6th, and I hope to see some of you there. With that, I'll wrap this up. Y'all take care. Have a good day. Cheers.